parliamentary procedure, we ask the minister, the CS, to appear before the committee, because the CS is the overall, both in policy and supervision of a ministry. A departmental head can give that information to the CS. And I thought you should clarify, Chair, the point the honorable member was bringing up, and the response from the CS that that is not his work, it should be asked to the IG. I think it is not in order. Maybe, Chair, you could clarify that so that additional information, if it's not available, the CS should be able to get from the officers.
I think I've given a direction. When CS, I think in due fairness, it should have been fair to say that you have not been
getting the information from the IG. I was just talking like a good student of constitutional law. Article 245 of the Constitution. Only two people can direct the IG. One is DPP on matters of investigation. The second one is the Interior Minister on matters of security policy. That is paragraph 3 and 4. Then 5 goes on to even say, notwithstanding these directives, no person may direct the Inspector General on the recruitment, assignment, promotion of any particular officer. So I just wanted to say that I have that constitutional contour to manage, but generally I have the information, I can get it. I have very good working relations with the IG and everybody else, and I don't think there is anything secretive about it. It's security information which is for the good of the people of Fafi. I can get it, maybe the timeline, Chair, if you give me the timeline so that I can comply.
Chair, if I can say something. First of all, I'm USA Kenyans, Member of Parliament of Kisumu West Constituency. Chair, I think the response by the CS is arrogant. Arrogant and demeaning and dismissive. Really, if we wanted to ask the IG, we would have requested the IG to come here. But because he's in charge of that ministry, and a question had been given to him, we expected that he would get answers from his officers so that when he comes here, he gives a suitable answer. But to direct the Member of Parliament to go and call the IG, I think that's arrogant and not acceptable. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe, Waziri, I think you are appearing before this committee, and the committee asking you question to do with internal security. Yes, you are not the IG, but you are the policy head of that institution called national security. I don't want to travel that side. The question I want to pursue is that of Ijara and Fafi. The reason why you give NPR is because there is gap in security and the police are not enough to really do policing to protect lives and property. The fundamental question the Honorable Member should have asked, which I want to put to you, is there still need for NPR in those two constituencies where the problem of Al-Shabaab actually is current, it is also fluid, and it is existential, that some of these members are not able to travel freely in their constituencies just because of fearing for their own security. Maybe that is the line we want to pursue with you. Thank you, Chair.
Lastly, maybe you can.
Thank you, Chair. Through the Chair, Buenos CS, if in Fafi and Ijara and all other border towns, if there were 21 NPRs and you withdraw 16, meaning there are only 5 remaining, according to me, that is suicidal, extremely dangerous. What measures do you have to curb the insecurity and the problems that we have in those areas?
Chair.
Sarah, then Balosi, then me.
Chair, in regard with NPR, I think even as Waziri attempts to answer the question on disciplinary, I am a witness that NPR really helps in security. And I also don't dispute the fact that they should be vetted, trained, and equipped. But again, Waziri, they say justice delayed is justice denied. And in Swahili they say ngoja ngoja umiza matumbo. So if at all they have to do all those processes, they have to fast track it. Because as we continue to delay them, then the mwananchi continues to suffer.
Chair, Mwana CS, I think I also want to concur with my colleagues on the role played by the NPRs in securing the country. And I think for my colleague from Fafi, he would like to know, and I also would like to know, how long it will take to fast track this 16 the cap which we have now in that area, so that he can be able to tell his constituents. Thank you, Chair.
I think we should, so that Yakub, you have something to add?
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and thank you, members, for coming in with that. I don't know why the Waziri was a bit dismissive of my whatever, but it's okay. The CS said the gap is known. It's 250. In fact, it's in his table because there's one time with the RC and 250 was recommended in 2023 January. Up to now, nothing was recruited in the entire Fafi. They only have 58 members, NPRs now in the entire Fafi constituency. 16 now gone. That's the situation in Fafi. The second thing the CS said is they were replaced by the 17 I mentioned. But now that he's saying this is an IG thing, I don't know whether I can continue with the question, because is he sure that those are the 17 to replace? Because these 17 were recruited in 2024 and the 16 were recruited in 2011. The 16 are in the Umagala division, close to Somalia border, controlled from there. The 17 were recruited by a base in Balambala, controlled by SOG camp in Balambala. So surely, is that a replacement? Or is two different forces in two different constituencies? It's not. That's what I said when I raised this question. I told you what we receive is a table, a laptop answers. I don't know whether you'll bring the IG so that we can ask these technical questions.
Maybe, Honorable Member, the Waziri is here because of your question. Ask the question and say what is the problem, so that we can
the question
solution.
Thank you, sir. The question I'm
maybe just to guide Yakub. First, you have even noted that actually on basis of priority, we prioritize the question of Fafi because we appreciate how trouble it is. And in many occasions, you had even confided to me that you at times even don't even visit your constituency because of insecurity issues. So kindly just answer the question.
The question is,
let me finish.
Yes.
If in a situation whereby you're not satisfied or the CS does not have maybe the response, we will of course agree with him to conduct his officers, that is of course the IG, and still furnish this committee with their responses.
Bwana CS, are those 17s who are now working with OCG Raya, is that a replacement or not? Because there are two different places, two different constituencies, 600 apart, 600 kilometers apart. That's my the question. Then on the 17 itself, are you aware that out of these 17, 2 of them, because they are now on the payroll of the government as SOG workers from Raya, and they have no guns for the last 2 years, Are you aware that 2 of them have been hunted down in their homes and killed? And if yes, what action is the ministry doing in relation to that? Lastly, I asked you on the question of gaps. What is the gap of NPR? I just want you to go on record. What is the gap of NPR in Fafi constituency? And what is the ministry doing? And give me please some timelines which I can work with. Lastly, on the issue of interventions, you have noted down a lot of things. You have been in office now for 2 years. In your reign, Bwana CS, what is the number of NPR in the last 2 years and a half? You have in the 2 years and a half you have been in office. What is the number of NPRs you have recruited in Fafi? That's one question. 2, are you aware that Galmagala is a police station with an OCS?
Was that part of the question?
No, it's part of the interventions. I'm just asking what he has done on the interventions.
Just to guide,
Yes.
You know, of course, when we do invite the CS or any other officer, we normally furnish them because, you know, they had also to ask from the other officers. So the issue of the police station was part of the question as well. So that we stick to...
I'm heading there. I want to ask him on the interventions because he said there's QRU formed, all those things. I want to ask him on the police stations, because this is part of interventions. There's a police station serving a whole division. Does it have a vehicle? It's an intervention. In the 2 years you have in office, do you have a vehicle in that police station? Have you, if not, what are you trying to do in that sense? 3, there's QRUs you have mentioned here. 2 of the QRU is Nanigi and Kamude. Each one hosting 80 to 90 soldiers. Do they have vehicles for the 2 years you have been there? So I want a clear indication from your ministry for the 2 years you've been there. What exactly interventions have you done in terms of recruitment, in terms of provision of equipment to those soldiers which are there, in terms of vehicles on there? Do you have you ever done even a road, a security road in that constituency? Is there a functioning airstrip so that it can serve even your soldiers in that area? And if it's not, what have you done in that? Whatever. Those are my interventions. The questions of interventions. Lastly, on the issue of abductions. You said you have, I told you have a list of possible of intervention. Can you just give the committee the number of abductions on records reported by the constituents, abductions both by Al-Shabaab and suspected government agencies? The 2 abductions. List, just not the names, but figures if you have. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Yakub. Maybe in 5 minutes, Waziri, you can attempt.
Chair, first and foremost, if my remarks appear dismissive of or arrogant to the committee, I want to apologize. That's the least of my objectives. Secondly, the issue of what the minister does, what the IG does, it was not to remove responsibility of any type from the minister, was to explain we have a constitution which creates independent offices and independent institutions, including parliament. And therefore, I just wanted to say that you don't expect the minister to micromanage the IG on operational issues, but if the information on operational issues is requested, I can get it from the IG. That was the point, strictly. But I cannot keep on telling him, deploy here, give this kind of firearm to this officer. Those are operational issues, and the Constitution gives him that leeway. Thirdly, the The IG was in northern Kenya last week, the acting IG that time, to map out that area extensively, because we have real challenges there. Myself, I've been there overtly and covertly many times, so I have a fair understanding. I may not have the details that the Honorable Member for Fafi has, because that is his consistency. I may not have all the details, but I have a fair understanding, general understanding of the area, the needs, and so forth and so on. And I want to agree with the member and those who have spoken also in support that Fafi, Ijara is one of the neediest areas we have at the moment. We've had other needy areas where the threat levels have significantly going down, and I've already said that area is where we are remaining with a great challenge among a few other areas. For example, a year ago, Boni, south of Ijara, Boni, Lamu, was a big headache. But right now, after we managed to put in a bit of operational and policy decisions, the place now is stable. I just wanted to assure the member and the colleagues team from that area that we are putting our efforts right now to make sure that we seal the gaps there. Around deployment, I agree. The NPR allocations for Northern Kenya generally are quite small. There was a recommendation, for example, for Fafi for 250. But you see, that's a recommendation. It's number two, it is subject to availability of resources. And number three, what perhaps we could do is to expedite that process, which I want to undertake on behalf of the National Police Service. But what I may not support or agree with is the suggestion by the Honorable Member for Laikipia North that we do away with training. We cannot recruit NPRs and not train and equip them. Unless I didn't understand, I heard as if the member said she doesn't see the need of training. Unless
I said I don't dispute.
Okay, sorry. Sorry, I apologize. It's my mistake. So we will expedite. So in the next 14 days, we are going to review the situation there. Out of the need of 250, we may not have the resources to implement the 250 at once, and therefore we can start with 100 or so, see how that pans out, and maybe another month or two, we can incrementally meet the demand. Even in the places where we have given a commitment for NPR, some of them have never been honored because of resource issues. For Isiolo, Wajir, I'm sure the member for Wajir is here, and so many other places. Even where we have given, we have not given the full complement. But I admit, I think that area, and perhaps that is the reason why that is the area now remaining, giving us a security headache, requires expedited focus, and I want to commit to the member and to the committee that in the next 14 days we will at least start with the deployment of about 100, expedite and look for resources for their training so that they can help us even as we meet the full need for that area.
Just for record, Waziri, for clarity, so that probably we don't go back again, that is Ijara and Fafi area.
We can do 100 for a start. Yeah. Because I also know we are constrained for budget, but given the need there, we need to do that. And then secondly,
and kindly,
on
maybe
vehicles,
as we do when Waziri,
yeah,
the area where the 16 were discharged.
Yes.
Because this is a member who has been actually, we have been in contact for the last 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
I remember even the time we had the team led by Kenan of Northeastern team.
Yeah.
Where he actually was appointed the Secretary General. The same of Fafi has been an issue every other time.
It is.
So can we consider, unless there is extremely compelling reason, to reinstate or to put the 16, which were?
We'll work with local leaders and the police really have to work with the local leaders to assess where the most need should be, and I think there's no problem with assuring that. With regard to vehicles, about half of the police stations in Kenya do not have vehicles. Slightly, actually more than 50%. Because of resource issues. So we are really in a very delicate situation. Between the police and GAO, we need 5,200 vehicles. We just managed to get 1,000, which we have purchased, and they should be with us in about a month's time. And they have taken, Treasury took us rounds from as early as May. We had, and of course for good reasons, because they also didn't have the resources. So we negotiated downwards until we got the 1,000. What I can promise is that we'll prioritize the most needed stations, including the stations from the members area. And I know many members here also have many police stations that don't have cars, the OCSs don't have AIE, and so forth and so on. The police equipment modernization program is what we want to use. And now that we have basic heavy hardware, and I think for the second and third year, we can invest more of our own usual security operations budget to take care of police vehicles, as opposed ordinary police vehicles or APCs for places like Ijara and Fafi. And then finally, I think, yes, that's it. The other things I remain guided on how to answer them, because some of them were not part of the statement. I may not have all the information on my fingertips.
Because time